Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you where I wanted to talk about the 2v2 Gunfight Alpha that we just got to play. I managed to play a fair bit of it this weekend, both the regular gunfight mode and the gunfight OSP where you had to run around and pick up weapons, and it gives me and the community some experience with the game so that we can determine what we want out of it, what's working and what isn't. You know, it gets it in the public's hands versus just YouTubers. So this is going to be a slightly less organized video than usual. It's just kind of my thoughts, good and bad. Of note, I'm not here on Facecam today because I've been having some camera issues, so we're going to go back to an old school commentary where you just get to hear the voice. The first thought that I had is that sprint out times are really slow on some weapons. LMGs, I get, are slow. They're supposed to be slow and bulky, and you shouldn't be able to sprint around with LMGs like it's Apex or Black Ops 3 or something, but they get godlike when you mount them on a surface, which makes sense. However, some of the submachine guns or rifle sprint out times can also be pretty nasty, and it can make the weapon very difficult to handle, and I do feel that in this alpha, my ability to rush and push people, at least the sprinting sort of rush, is significantly diminished. Now, I do have to pre-ADS almost every corner to do a peek, a hard camp, or tactical gameplay, if you want to call it that. It definitely forces people to slow down, to do more pre-ADS, corner peeks, mounts, and camping gameplay, and I think that's kind of the design goal here. I think that's what Infinity Ward wants. They wanted more realism and slower paced gunfights. Well, they most certainly got it, but it is a little bit off-putting because Call of Duty's been so hyper and so fast and so like ADD for so long that it feels a little bit odd. On a similar note, the Hipfire is pretty bad overall. In some Call of Duty games, the Hipfire can be just as good as ADS, at least outside of the pro scene. However, in Modern Warfare, it's pretty rough. It feels like if I don't aim down sights, then I need to be literally in your face to get decent hipfire accuracy, and I hipfire less in this game than any Call of Duty game in recent memory. I do know that there are several types of laser sights that you can get that greatly boost this, including a green one that's permanently visible and gives you some pretty godly hipfire, but we won't have access to those until we get the full multiplayer, and it's maybe not necessarily a bad thing if the goal is slower and more tactical gameplay. Then you don't want people just sprinting around and hip firing and blowing you up instantly, but it's different and it kind of throws me off. Another different thing is that the knee slide combat is a pretty poor strategy now. I can no longer abuse it like I did in the jetpack CODs or even in Ghost. Previously, because it's hard to kind of aim up close on console because of auto aim and rotations and stuff, I can take advantage of that and just knee slide into somebody at a little angle and get beside them and shoot their legs and make them die. But now the hip fire accuracy and especially the sliding knee slide accuracy is so bad that pretty much every time I tried that strategy, it was a colossal failure, and it's probably a good thing because it was kind of a cheesy way to get kills. It took advantage of the control scheme less than it was a brilliant combat maneuver, so it doesn't bother me too much, but it's another, just one of many old habits that I'm going to have to let go of. Reloads can be painfully slow on some guns too. Mostly LMGs like the L85A2 and the Odin and stuff reload very, very, very slow. I find myself not reloading them and swapping to the pistol because it takes so long, especially in 2v2. Again, maybe a gameplay choice, I'm not sure. One thing that I don't think that's a gameplay choice is the footstep audio. In my opinion, the footstep audio is just literally all over the place. And I have my biases as a guy with sensitive ears, but I do have very good Astro headsets, and I turn them up to very high volume to test. And I have other people talk about it too. Sometimes you hear footsteps, sometimes you don't. The audio settings don't really help a whole lot. Sometimes you can tell what direction they're coming from, sometimes you can't. Above and below is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes when I'm spectating on a person, I can hear footsteps that they can't, or vice versa. Your footsteps, crouching, running, sprinting, your reloads, your breathing when you're shot with that really annoying black and white screen going that's going to be louder than footsteps. Gunshots especially, of course they're louder, that's realistic, but gunshots almost anywhere on the map. It makes using your ears to identify enemies' locations or positions to be extremely hard, whereas other games I play such as PUBG, Fortnite, Apex, Rainbow Six, it's actually really easy to tell. It's just not good here. And I think this is sort of a battle between realism and functionality. Yes, it's more realistic that footsteps far away are going to be quieter than your own. It's more realistic that gunshots are going to make it where you can't hear footsteps. But there's a functionality choice here to make things audible and practical and viable, because I'd like to think in real life, if I were a soldier and some guy ran up sprinting behind me carrying a rifle and grenades and 100 pounds of clinkety clanky equipment, that I would hear him instead of him being an ultra silent ninja that makes no noise. That's what I would think. You know, I've never fought against ninja battlefields, so I can't tell you about it. The black and white screen is kind of annoying. It's disorienting at least. I feel weak not because I have low health, but because my senses are dull. I can't hear properly. I feel like the hearing is diminished on top of the noise. I get the stupid vignette, the jelly on the screen, the black and white, the little bit of blur. It makes it very difficult for me to do anything, and it makes it difficult for me to counterplay. Again, not because I'm one shot, but because I just get all of my inputs completely distorted. So I don't really like that. That definitely needs to be toned down, in my opinion. I've talked about a lot of bad things, but let's talk about a few good things. I really like the weapons overall. Overall, I think the weapons are in a very good place when it comes to balance and performance. They're fun. I think they have great aesthetics is probably the most important thing. I've fired quite a few of the weapons that are in this game in real life, and this game does a really good job at capturing how those weapons feel, like older COD games did, and less so like the Space Future stuff or Milsim games that ultimately get a little wonky because they try to make them too realistic. This one hit the feel of most of these weapons like nail on head perfect, and the ones that it missed is close enough to it. It's still very fun to shoot. It makes me feel like I'm doing it IRL. But more importantly than that, each gun fills a unique niche now. I said feels instead of fills. You can tell I'm getting tired. I can't sit forever. I feel like there's a really good balance to them. I feel like there's a meta, there's counterplay, you know, there's a lot of unique things to do, like doing single fire FAMAS or toggling single fire for Odin can be extremely beneficial. Going for deagle headshots, choosing to hipfire the shotguns versus ADS, shotguns that have incredible range and sniper scopes, fast-firing shotguns, the double barrel over and under, which is a more common version of the double barrel than the side-to-side because it helps you control your recoil. The way the slide on the pistols pop up when you shoot, the way the deagle handles is pretty close to real life. I like that you can at any point break out a deagle and headshot people if you've got the skill, like it's CSGO. There's a variety of sniper rifles that all perform differently, from the cowboy light little repeater rifle that's, you know, fast, responsive, to the giant 50 cal that's slow. I feel like there's choices. I feel like if I know what the enemy has, and that'll be a hard one in regular multiplayer because of the kitting, then I can outplay them. I know what's going on, and I enjoy the weapon balance with the exception of the M19. The M19 pistol, which is the SIG or little 9mm pistol, has been nerfed into the ground. It was pretty good in the other build that I played, though I do admit that I was using it almost exclusively as a backup to just swap and finish somebody off. But in this version, it felt like the Marshmallow 19. It just did like no damage whatsoever. I probably could have got one of those pellet guns and done better. I do think the executions are fun. They're a little hard to do. They're fair. They're ultimately rewarding. You have to get up behind somebody and hold down the melee button. But it's fun. It shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be all the time. You should only do it when you want to take a risk or when it's completely safe and you're just finishing off the last guy. It's fun to execute people. It's fun to BM. It's fun to be a douche for a little bit, and I've enjoyed the executions. Overall, I do have to admit that I'm a little bit bored with the 2v2 already. And it's just not as fun with randoms. I was the guy that was very pro 2v2, and I've made a lot of 2v2 videos, and I promise you I'm not just being a flip-flopper and wishy-washy on my decisions, but when I played 2v2 at Infinity Ward or at the reveal event, I was playing them with other YouTubers. I was playing it with people that were going to make callouts. I was playing against another well-organized team, and it's not fun to beat a bad team. It's way more fun to beat a good team. I was playing against people that played for fun instead of camping with claymores. I think that for this alpha, having 4-man lobbies so that you can at least 2v2 with your buddies, or bringing in the bracket system that we saw earlier where you could build big, complex, like March Madness brackets and have sub-lobbies and stuff would have been so much better. But just doing 2v2s with one buddy and slapping randoms most of the day gets kind of old. I really didn't have that much fun doing it. I mean, I could do it like an hour or two per day, but I couldn't sit down and do that for 5 hours. So hopefully we get a lot more going on in the regular multiplayer. That's really it for the commentary today. I've got a little bit more time to fill, so I'm going to play a couple of funny Twitter videos that I have to get over that algorithmic 10-minute mark. I hope you enjoyed this commentary. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out. is Friday, which means we'll be finishing up Jerky Week on Jerky XP's Jerky Week, and we're going to be finishing with double habanero. Ozzy, I really don't think that you're going to want this one. If you guys want to check out Jerky XP or any of their products, please click the @ tag so you can see exactly what they've got going on and go to their Twitter page. It's supposed to be their ultra hot and spicy. Yeah, no, you can't have any. You know, for the hottest flavor they have, this is kind of mild. It's not very hot. Oh, boy. Oh. Whoa, like... Okay, it's not hot initially. It just takes a few seconds. About 10 to 15 seconds into it, there will be plenty of burn. And Ozzy, you can't have a single one of these, or you'll be pooping fire, buddy.